Hi guys, Rubber Toe Assembly here with a Bowflex LateralX LX3 assembly. Getting right to it. Looks like it's already unboxed here. As you see, you want to lay it out like this, all the pieces. You got to take them out of the box and set them up like this. It's two boxes. And you see they're all laid out nice. Getting ready to put them all together. First you want to unzip these zip ties from the shipping plate, just like you see here. If you have two people, just in case, you want to have one person holding it. It always works. And then install these levelers onto the two base legs, right one and left one. They will spin in just like you see here, and they have a little metal top part. You see how I give it a turn right there. Make sure it's all the way down, starting with the lowest position when you flip these over. So you just run them in just like that, spin them right in once you catch the threads. And that's that side. And the right side, the other side, it's going to go on the same way. Just on the bottom side of it, which you see here. Front one and then a back one. Just like the other side, and you're all set. Once these two are installed, then you are ready to put the right side and the left side base assemblies to the engine assembly. And with these nuts and bolts, actually the bolts and the washers here that are going to attach it to your main frame there. See how it's slid right in line with those holes? I mean those tubes? Yeah, and the two holes are at the top of the two tubes. The leg slides right over the tube, the base tube at the bottom, and it gets those two screws, just like you see there in the front. And in the back, you get two in the back as well. They're a little bit longer. I'm putting this left side on just so I can get some levelity, or keep it level there. And you just slide it on until those two holes line up with the two holes that are in the main frame there. Yep, and see how those back screws are a little bit longer. That inside one is a little bit hard to reach inside there. You gotta angle it down and then put it straight down into its threaded holes that are in the main frame at the bottom. So that inner side one might be a little bit hard to catch, especially if you have longer drill pieces. And as you see, I just turn this wheel a little bit, just like you see there, and it gets it out of the way, gives me a straight shot so I can tighten the front two and then the back two. And if you need to turn the wheel again, you know, to get access easier to those Allen wrench tip screws, then do so accordingly. Alright, on to step two, which is attaching the console and connecting the base to the cable mast. The mast should go on with 4 bolts and washers, which I'm pulling right there from the hardware pack. As I go, I'm pulling the screws as I go, so you don't get too confused. And see how it hooks right there? The front side has that little lip, and you can kind of lip it over the front of it and then pull down towards the bottom. Sometimes you got to make sure that surface is flat, there's no packaging or anything in between there. And then it's going to get those 4 little bolts with the washers that are going to hold this on there. And the cords that run up the middle of this, oh yeah, there was something there. So the cords that run up the middle of this are coming out the side, so you don't have to worry about pinching any of the wires, because there is none. It's a flat surface to flat surface. Make sure it is flat surface. There's nothing in between there. And I put my hand there just to keep, you know, the nut or the bolt and the washer from falling in there. You don't want that. And then you get 2 in the front as well, the same way, and you tighten those up. And you see that little black zippy tie coming out of the neck there. That's, yeah, cutting away from me safely. Taking those little zippy ties off. And that's your wire from the main frame inside there, the internal guts, I call it. You see the wheel and all that. So I'm tightening these 4 so it's definitely on there tight, the mast is. And the wire that's coming out the side has this black zip tie. I think I could leave that on. I think I do leave that on. I just point the wire forward. It has a little clip on the end of it. It's going to clip into the wire that's coming out of the main frame right there. Little white line on one side of it, line those up with the white line on the other side, and on the bottom side of that white line is that there's like a little clip, little notch and a clip, and so it only goes one way, clips in only one way, clip just like that, boom, you're all connected there at the bottom, and you just run it off to the side there. If you have to cut that other zip tie or the big black zip tie right there, then if it's in the way, then feel free to do so, just to run your wires. And then on to step 3, which is attaching the shrouds and the mast gasket to the frame assembly, as you see there. It's going to be some special plastic things, which I think I've just pulled 2 out right there and laid them out. There's going to be, I think, 5. Yeah, here's a couple more. Oh, those are the screws that are going to go in after the plastic inserts. But you see the plastic inserts are to the right there. It looks like there's 5, 6 of them maybe even. And so you have 2 plastic pieces here. This is your right piece, and then you have a left piece, which is right there. See those plastic little tube things are the same on both ends. They plug into these holes just like that. And this is kind of a hard part for most people, lining all these things up. But you just plug these things into one side, the same side, the left side there. Plug them down into those holes. And they're like little push pins, and you just push them down in there. And make sure they're all the way down in there. Push them in, because those are gonna, there's the last one it looks like. Those are going to plug into the other side, the plastic piece, the shroud on the right side. So that's your left side. I'm going to place that up around on the left side of the main frame where it's going to go. Exactly, just like so. You see that? And those little things you just stuck in there, those little plastic little tube things, are going to connect it to the other side. In addition to where you see those holes in the plastic, there's that little hole up there by the mast, and then there's one in the front there, are going to get screws that are going to screw into the metal, so it's secured on there really nice. Both to the other side, the plastic, as you see here, I'm going to push this left side on, and it's also going to get the screws in on both sides and securing it to the metal main frame as well. So it'll be nice and solid. And there you see a good shot of it, the top there. You line those little prongs that you punched in, line them up with the other side, just like you see there, nice. And then I go down to the front one, catch that, and then that middle one also. Don't want to forget about that middle one there. So yeah, you line them up, and then you see there the middle one, lining that up. So it's going, the prong is poking into the hole that it's supposed to go into on the other side. And then you just push them together, just like that. Might take a little bit of oomph here, a little muscle, to get those things lined up, start them, push them together so where they kind of clipped in, and then give it a nice firm crimp. And you can see I did there, those front 3 all lined up and pushed in tight, and then these back, there's a few on the back. As you can see there, that's the method I use. Push nice and firmly, and you can feel it kind of click into place, and it pushes in all the way, and you want to seal that so you have a nice line down the middle. And then these screws here are going to be inserted into those areas. One up here top on the mast. It's going to go right there. Having that light on the little drill gun really helps. And you're going to need, I think, like a 6-inch Phillips tip. That's what you have there. Maybe a 4-inch might reach down in there, but it's a long tube that you have to shoot the screw down into. So you need a kind of a long screwdriver, not too long, maybe medium to long. I use this. This is a 6-inch number 2 bit on the drill gun, and I have it, low torque. Actually, it's one of those drill guns. It's low, and I just stop right when it tightens down. Yep, the front one and the back one, and then both sides get those screws. So make sure those are all put in. I think there's a few on both sides. So you put these in, and if you don't have a screw gun with a low torque setting, which is what you want, and a light to shine down in there, then you'll have to use a hand screwdriver, which is actually better to use anyway. It takes more effort to screw that in though, and with a light on it, and maybe shine a light down in there at the same time you're running the screw gun down in there. See how that lit up? It's, can be difficult, might take a few times, but those are all in. And then on to the step 4, the handlebar links, and which is right what you see there. Zoom in on those. Those are handlebar links, and I'm pulling the appropriate hardware that's going to attach these, just as you see here. One end, both ends are the same. One end is going to go right in there with the appropriate bolt, and The top end is going to connect to your right arm, which will be put on in a minute here. And then there's also going to be a left arm, and this is your left side. Is going to go on the same way that you just did. So I hand tighten these only for now. Pretty much just finger tighten them, snug them up, so you can swing them back and forth. They're on there, they just need to be tightened. And then put on the mast gasket. Covers that area right there. You don't want any screws or little pieces or anything falling down in there. That's covered nice. And then attaching the pivot covers to the handlebar arms. Before you put these handlebar arms, which are going to attach to those two bars I just put, you're going to have to put this plastic piece on there first, or two pieces rather. Actually three if you count the finish cap at the end. But anyway, they go on just like so. This is how I like to do it. Flip it upside down so it's laying on, I don't know, a piece of carpet or cardboard or something flat surface. And then I line up that second smaller piece just as you see there, just like a puzzle, and then make sure the ends are overlapping correctly on the outside where my finger is right there, and then just tighten these with a hand screwdriver, because you don't want to use a drill gun just in case when it gets to tighten you don't want to crack it or split it. It's just plastic on plastic. So, and the screws are metal, so you don't want any of the plastic to split when you put the screws in. So I just do these by hand as it says, and there's those two screws that hold the two pieces together and securely onto that arm. I think that's the right one or the left one, doesn't matter. They both are going to get these plastic pieces on the left and right side. And then onto installing these handlebars onto the main frame there. You're going to pull the appropriate hardware, as you see here. I'm cutting them nice and carefully out of the side. You don't want to stick a razor knife straight down into, you know, your surface underneath, unless you're outside, maybe on concrete, but even then you might make a scratch mark on the surface below. So I angle a little bit, or sometimes if I have to lift up the hardware pack in my hand and do it up in the air just to cut it sideways to access these things. And you pull the appropriate hardware. Make sure the grease is on here before you take these things off, both sides. Rub it, give it a good rub down of grease all the way down there, and then you get a wavy washer first. So as you see, I'm slide one wavy washer on there first, and then the arm, which you just put together, that plastic piece, see there, and it just slides right onto right into the tube there. Boom, slides all the way down to the end, and it's going to connect to that bar in the beginning. And it's also going to get a finished screw with washer into the side you just slid on, and then a cap on it. But I'm doing this one first so you can see where it's going to connect to the pieces, to two bars you just installed previously, just like so. That's the top side of it, and it connects to the arm. Then the other side here shows the left side of it. It's going to be, rub the grease on there pretty good. Sometimes there's grease on one and not very much grease on the other side, so you just use one of those little bags for both sides. Wherever the grease is, you just utilize the grease as much as you can and rub it on both sides. You get the wavy washer, then you get the left arm installed. Just give it a couple of taps lightly and it slides right on. And I'm putting this screw in first because that's going to hold that arm up. You know, otherwise I'll have to swing the arm and lay it down on the ground and then put the outside screw. So I put this screw in first. Boom, little bolt rather is what it is. Give it a few turns, tighten it by hand, and then see right where the red circle is, it's going to get a washer and a little bolt that's going to attach them as well. Don't want to forget those. And so after that, you can tighten all those bolts. Here is the one I was just telling you about. A little small bolt there with a washer on first, and then you tighten them up. And then don't forget to come back and tighten these as well. The Allen wrench that they give you, as you see right there, is a bigger size. I'm using that. I also have the Allen wrench tip on that size too. I probably just didn't want to look for it and find it, but they give you the wrenches too. It just takes longer. Anyway, then this size I had on the ratchet, as you see there, I tightened that as well. So all three of those are secured, and it gets this little finish cap. Give it a couple taps, pushes right in there, and your right side is done. And then onto the left side, it's going to go the same way. So to step 6, you put the collar on the hardware and insert it on the crank arm. And this can be kind of tricky sometimes, but you just put these hardware, as you see there, lit up, put those on there, and the pedal arms are going to rest on top of that. I'm just putting the appropriate hardware for now, running the washers and the bolts that are going to be used at the top to secure them. It's also going to get 2 at the bottom on each side, and now putting the pedal arm onto that collar, just as you see there. Drop it right over the top of it, kind of line it up. You gotta line the top up there, which looks like it's not lined up, but anyway, I'm working on it. You gotta, line it up straight at the bottom, just like you see there, and at the top, all in one. I just hook the top of it, swing it inward a little, and then push down on it, and it should come down a little bit. When you put the bolt with the washer on the top, that should, once you start spinning it, that should push down on it and put it right into place, as you see there. That's the right side. Then it's going to get that bottom part that hooked in at the bottom is going to get a washer with a bolt on it, and on the other side is going to get one as well, bolt and washer, and that'll secure the bottom, and the top gets that big bolt and washer. And you're ready for the left side, it looks like. Yep, it looks like I've already got the left side hooked onto the top and hooked into the bottom. I put the appropriate hardware, the bolt and the washers up on the top side. Keep it from, popping off the top. When you put the bottom screws in, you don't want it to lift up and fall off. So I usually do this one first. Run it down a little bit, and then you put these, there's 4 there, these 4 little screw bolts with little washers, and they're going to get 1 on each side, so that's why there's 4. 2 for the left, 2 for the right. Here we're starting on the right, on the outside one. Just going to twist these on by hand, most of the way on first, and then 1 on the inside as well. Just going to twist it on by hand, and then come back and tighten all 3. Make sure the top one is tight, and these 2 bottom ones here are both tight, and your pedal arm is on. As soon as you tighten those 3, top one and the bottom 2 sides, and the left side pedal arm is going to get these as well, just as you see here. 1 on the inside of it, little bolt with a washer, and a little shorty bolt with a washer on the outside as well. Swing it around here and get the good angle, just right there is where you want it. And then you tighten this one, the inner one, and the one that you see there at the top. Make sure they're all tight once it's on there. Going back through here. There you go. Tightening those bottoms. And I think the top one, is a larger size. I think it's a 1/4 inch Allen for the top ones. So you tighten those as well. The 2 bolts at the top, just like you see there, and 1 on each side of each pedal arm at the bottom as well. Okie doke. And then that should complete your pedal arm assembly. And you're going to be standing on these, so you want them to be nice and firmly on there. And they get 2 top caps getting installed onto the pedal arm, just as you see there. That one clipped on nice and easy. It's just same shape, showing you right there. They just fit right there, and give it a couple taps, make sure they're inserted. Perfect. And then the next thing is your parallel link to the bottom pedal, and the side bracket on the crank arm is going to go just like you see here. See, there's a little sticker in the middle there that says this side up, and it has these little arrows that show you, make sure this side is pointing up. Just slides onto there and gets a little screw with a washer, and it slides onto this tube coming out of the bottom of the swivel pedal there. I believe there was maybe a piece of packaging on there, on that one there, you see. So they go on just like that on the outside, pushing that one on. It should just slide right on. If it's not sliding on, and you see here it's being difficult right there, it's good that it shows these are some of the problems that you could run into. You think, why is it not going on there smoothly like you said? This one here seems like it's a little stiff. I mean, I guess looks like I can get the screw to catch can't tell here, but either way, sometimes there's little plastic sleeves that are slid onto these tubes. You got to make sure they're all off underneath the pedal arms, especially there. And then sometimes they're just stiff, and once you put the bolt with the washer on there and run it up, it should snug it up nice and easy. So that one, give it a couple of taps with the mallet. Just want to make sure. See, that one's nice and clear. There's no little sleeve on there, which is like a packaging sleeve. So that one went on nice and straight, or easier than the back one. So yeah, just make sure in the back here, it's a little dark shot, but you can see I'm putting the bolt with the washer on there, and you tighten it up, and that should bring it right up to where it has to go, nice and tight. And the left side goes on the same way. Pedal shroud and the foot pad are going to be put on after you put those bars on, and they go on just as you see here. There's a little rubber foot piece that's in the middle of this. You might have to pull that out first, so before you put the pedal frame on there. Yep, and then you have 4 screws that are going to screw this down to the pedal arm, the swinging pedal arm. It's going to be these little foot pads. There you have it. And there's going to be a little rubber foot pad that clips into it once these pedals are installed onto the pedal arms. And there it is, little rubber foot pad. It has these little pop-in grooves. You just go around the outside edge of it, and you could feel it pop right into place where it goes. You just pop on the left one, as you see there, and then the right one gets the same. They just pop in all the way around the edges. And then your pedals are installed. Looks good. And then on to the next step, 9, which is attaching the lateral links to the crank arms and then the pedal arms. So you just want to hand tighten these at first. Shows me there pulling the hardware for that's your piece. That's going to be installed. There's a left one and a right one. Should look the same. This one's going to be installed first here on the right side. Just going to line it up and drop that bolt through the back piece, just like you see there, from top to bottom. There's a little soldered on nut at the bottom of that it's going to catch the threads there. And I just hand tighten it for now, so it's not falling off at all. But you still get a little jiggle room there. And that's going to, the front of that is going to attach to this piece as you see here. I think I got to swivel that around. Yep. Swing it around, make sure there's grease on there. If it's got one of those things, just like so. Maybe bring it around a little bit more so it lines up straight. You can see it's a little bit angled there still. Swing that a little more. It's got grease. And yeah, you want to keep the grease on there though. And that rag, I don't want to wipe it off. Okay, so yeah, still has grease. Slides right on like so. And it gets a little screw with a washer there, just as you see, and then hand tighten both of those, and then come back after when it's on there, just like you see, and secure them tightly with the ratchet or with the Allen wrenches that they give you. I use a ratchet with these same size Allen wrench ratchet tips because it's a lot quicker. You don't want to have to take the little L bracket out and put it in every time. It takes forever to tighten them up. Here's your little finishing cap that pops right on, just like you see there. Both sides are going to get that. And then there's that bolt on the back side of it, the bottom left corner there. You want to make sure that's tightened as well. And then your right side is secure. So then the left side is going to go on the same way. Make sure you grease that up a little bit. And here I put the front side on first. Line that up, and then you can swing it around forward and backward, and then line up the second one in the back, just like you see here. Give it a tap, and then catch the threads at the bottom. Give it a couple of turns, and then make sure you have your screw with the washer on the front side, holding the front in, just like you see there. Give it a couple of turns as well, and then come back through with your Allen wrench and make sure that they get secured as well, both front and back. Make sure you tighten these. And then you'll have your left arm and right arm installed. As you see here, I'm using the ratchet again. Make it quick and easy. Make sure it's nice and snug, because you're going to be standing on all these pieces basically when you're doing the workout. So it's going to support your body weight. So they have to be tight, no gaps. You don't want anything jiggling around or coming loose. So onto the front one, you see there. Tighten that as well. And then you'll have your left side and right side are both installed. Looks good. On to step 10, which is connecting the cables from the static handlebar to the console mast. And this is your static handlebar right here. That's what they call it. And it's got these 4 wires coming out. And the wires are matched up with the ends on the other side that are coming out of your mast. You want to break off that little rubber band, just holding things up, getting in the way there. Okay, discard that. And then you'll see that each clip only goes into the clip on the other side of its same size, and you got one male and female end. They interact together, so it can kind of only clip into certain ones that it goes into. I usually do the larger sizes first. The largest one I plug into, because there's only one large one on the other side too. Plug those in, and then the second largest one I usually plug in second, and then you'll have 2 left over, which will be the small ones. I believe are the left and right pickups for your heart rate. So they go down into the handlebar, and it doesn't really matter left or right. It says whichever one they plug into. The colors might be different too on the wires, which may throw you off. So as far as these left and right handlebars, the colors sometimes are different colors, which shouldn't matter. They're just your pickups for the heart rate. And then usually the same colors on the larger size clips, and they just clip in just like you see there. Clip male end into female end and vice versa. And there it looks like the medium one, or maybe the large one. They can only go one way, so it clips into the other side as you see there. Boom. And your last one is going to clip together, and you can see the colors don't match colors on that last one, but that's okay. It's a smaller size one for the heart rate. Then I just tuck these in, tuck them right down in there, and there's a little trick I have where you reach up to the top where the wires are going to, and you can kind of pull slowly the slack as you push the arm on. Yep, right there you see I'm pulling those back a little bit so they don't bunch up and crimp or nothing gets pinched, and it's nice, smooth. Anyway, once you get there, you slide that in, pulling a larger cord up a little bit from the back. You have this wire connecting it there too. Discard that once they're connected, and you're going to get some screws that are going to hold this on to the mast. You have your little tray there, and there you see the heart rate pickups, those silver areas on the handlebars there. There's a wire, clipped wire going to each side of those, the smaller ones. Anyway, there's another shot of it, and it gets this hardware here is going to connect it to your main mast. And I always hand tighten these first, and then come back and tighten them up. And then step 11, which is removing the hardware from the console, which are these 4 screws. There's your 4th one right there, that are already pre-installed on your top console to the unit. And you're going to set those aside because they're going to be reinstalled in a minute here. And it just basically goes on just like you're going to see here in a minute. You install the wires first. They should be marked accordingly, and sizes, of course. The large one goes into the large one. It's really, you can't really get this wrong. They only go one way, so you just clip them in. Make sure it's the right side up though. You don't want to force it into the wrong way. But once you see how it lines up, it should clip right in nice and easy. You carefully do that. And then here's the same method I use, pulling the wire back through. Not too hard. You don't want to unconnect the cables. Keep them together. But sometimes you might have to tuck maybe a smaller wire up in the console, which is what I do sometimes, but usually the large wire and stuff I pull back through the neck, and then you hook it on the top right there That's what's holding it up now. It's hooked onto the top there, and it's all lined up. But you do got to go back and put those 4 screws. I'm just showing you here. All the wiring tucks down in there, just like that. You can kind of push that down in there, and it gets this cap that just covers all that. Makes it look like a finished product right there. So you make sure that's on there, and then come back with a screwdriver and run these 4 screws in. It should be little short machine screws, the ones that you pulled out of it, and then snug those on up, and your top console's installed. And then switching down to the next step, 14, plugging in your power adapter. Plugs in right there, just like you saw, into the front, and then into the wall, and you're up ready to go. You can have wheels in the front. You can lift the back, just like you saw there, and place it right where you want it in the room. And there you have it, ready to go. It's plugged in. Give it a couple of whirls. Alright guys, hopefully this video helped you guys a lot. That's why I'm making them. Try to make it easy for you. Please like and subscribe. Another rubber toe assembly complete. The Lateral X, the LX3 Bowflex. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Again, like and subscribe. I got a lot of other videos. Alright, rubber toe over and out. Thanks for watching. Take care.